Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man, a disc golf audio podcast brought to you by Dynamic Discs, where we want to help you become a better disc golfer. All right, we are back with another episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. I had a long, well, it wasn't a long weekend, but I've told you guys this before. So the way my holiday season works is we've got Thanksgiving, then Christmas, and then New Year's, and then my birthday, and then my dad's birthday. So it feels like I've been on a holiday bender of just
That's a good way to describe it.
Of traveling and festivities and eating junk food and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not here. I sound like I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. It's fun, but it's like this always the Monday after my birthday always feels like now it's time to start the new year for me. So I'm here, guys. I'm ready to start the new year. We can continue on.
I'm glad we're finally ready.
We're finally ready. No, I had a great time with my parents over the weekend. I got to visit them, and then with my brother and his family. I got to eat some Italian food, and I taught my nephew. You have to do this with your hands when you say Italian food. That sounds right. It's one of those things that you're just kidding around with your nephew, and then you realize he's just going to do it loud. And because he was like, I really like this Italian food. And I was like, Braden, you got to say Italian food like that.
Italian food.
And of course he laughs. And then 10 minutes later I hear
that's it.
Italian, like super loud.
Yeah,
Italian.
Of course.
Like,
it's the rest of the time. You can't get kids started on that stuff.
No. And then in fact, there was at one point he got up to go to the restroom. As he's walking, he goes, Italian food.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's so hilarious. But anyway, so I had a good time. How was your weekend, Robert?
Nice. Pretty good weekend.
Yeah.
We didn't do much. We were just around the house quite a bit.
You didn't go play pickleball, did you? I saw some people on our little chat talk about pickleball.
We went out one of the afternoons. Whatever afternoon was finally like kind of warm enough, but it was like 42. And it didn't feel windy at our house, but when we got up to the high school, it was because the snow had melted. We couldn't play at Hammond, so we went to the high school. And it was so windy at the high school. Like, I think we take for granted how much of the wind Hammond and like the Country Club Hills and everything covers, because at the high school, it was blowing crazy.
Yeah.
Tin came out. He hadn't been out in a while. Nice. So he hit me with the ball several times, just like,
good.
Stop. He hits it so hard.
You know, just something I haven't done in a while that I'm really looking forward to doing as it warms up.
What's
playing
that?
Disc golf.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, I have not played disc golf for a while, and I'll admit I'm a fair weather disc golfer. If it's too cold, I do not want to be out playing. I don't say what you want. I don't care. Mm-hmm. It's got to be a certain temperature, but I am looking forward to getting some nicer weather soon, I hope, and doing. In fact, also I'm ready to travel. Hopefully things will clear up so we travel. I was talking to Gabe earlier about some travel plans for Texas states, obviously in Texas, and looking at Airbnbs and stuff like that. I am getting so pumped for the disc golf season to start so I can get out there and do that. Speaking of big events, the Dynamic Discs Open registration. Now it's already open for international players, but tomorrow, or at least whenever you're listening, January 12th, 6 p.m. Central, registration opens for the U.S. residents. Now, it's only for specific. We're doing tiered registration, so it can get, it's not everybody just scrambling to register at one time. But tomorrow starts for the national tour side for registrants that are rated 1,000 and higher that are MPO, and then 900 or higher for FPO. Now, on the A tier side, which are other divisions, you're going to have the MA3, which is the recreational division, then the MA40, MA50, MA60, MA70, and then advanced age protected divisions are all clumped in there. So that starts, and then every week after that, registration opens up for different tiers. So make sure you go to dynamicdisc.com, select that registration little link. That way you can see where, and then it has links to it. But guys, we've changed the name. I'm talking about formerly the Glass One Open, but as far as the activities and what we have scheduled, that all has remained the same. You can see that scheduled there, and I'm seeing, just like in the past, just all kinds of C tiers. We've of course got the block party. We've got a concert ready to go. Let's see. are we going to do the bull riding too? I hope we can do the bull riding too. I don't, but I'm sure
that is hilarious to watch.
So we got bull riding, we got flexi tiers, we got poker parties, we got block party. Yeah, live music featuring Savannah Chestnut and the Field Hands at Bourbon. Oh, that sounds like an exciting band.
Well,
Savannah
Bobby will be there, guaranteed.
I'll be there. I'll be one of the field hands over there. So, but anyway, so make sure you check out all the details at dynamicdisc.com and get registered. Because I have a feeling with the way other events are filling up, this is going to fill up as well because people miss going out to disc golf events for sure.
Yep, definitely.
Also, Robert has some news that he wants to share with everybody. Robert, what do you got to tell us?
Hey, everyone. So I'm pretty sad to tell you this, but it's time to say it. And there's not a really fun or good way to say it. Shay and I are going to be, and we're taking Owen also. He's going to come with us.
Oh, okay, good.
We're going to be moving back to Texas. I got a job, down there just south of Austin. And we had not anticipated leaving Emporia for a little while, especially after we bought our house here. We were planning on staying here for, gosh, I don't know, at least several more years to start off with. But once we had Owen, it kind of just sped up our idea of wanting to be closer to our family. It was really hard for Shay's parents to get up here, my parents to get up here, and then same for us to get down to visit them. 11-hour drive to either of them. And it's just really tough, especially with an infant that we would love for our families to know and be close to. So my time at DD is coming to an end pretty soon here. It's really bittersweet. I've said this before about Emporia and DD. I knew when I took this job that I would enjoy the job and would enjoy working here, but I thought Emporia or Kansas would just be like, yeah, whatever. We'll just kind of put up with it. And we've met so many good people here, made so many good friends. We love our community. We love our church. And so leaving is not easy by any means. But in the grand scheme of things, being close to our families, especially with Owen, is what's taking priority for us right now. So we're going to be moving down to Texas near the end of the month. And so this is my next to last Disc Golf Answer Man show. Who knows about guest appearances later, but I mean, you guys are going to be in good hands. We've got plenty of people who can talk about disc golf and answer questions, but I will say Disc Golf Answer Man has definitely been my most favorite thing that I've done. Not just favorite, my most favorite thing that I've gotten to be involved with at Dynamic Disc. Just getting to hang with these guys every week, answer y'all's questions, and be a part of the community has been really cool. So I'll miss that, but I mean, I'll still be on, Facebook and social media and stuff. So as I've said before, my phone number is not changing. If you want to get in touch with me, you'll still be able to. So
nice. Well, I know that when Robert came to tell me the news about this, I was of course disappointed. And then when it hit me that like, oh great, Answer Man, it was like really disappointing, just because he's become such an integral part of the show. And yeah, so you're definitely will be missed for sure. We've thought about changes to the podcast, and now we're really going to be thinking about changes to the podcast. So we'll see how things pan out, but I've got a few ideas. So yeah, guys, we're going to have him on for one more show, and then you'll see some changes as far as who's on the show and things like that. So obviously we wish you the best. Of course, we're not saying goodbye yet. We have one more episode. We won't say goodbye because,
Yep.
we'll have to have some sad music and stuff like that.
I was going to say, I assume that you'll have like one of those tributes when maybe at the end of the year when they go over like people who passed away that year, or like at the end of the college basketball, at the end of March Madness when they play One Shining Moment. These are just things to consider.
No, what it's gonna be is we're gonna go YouTube live, and we're just gonna for 24 hours play your video where you say crap because you kept messing up on your lines. Crap. Just
dude, tell me you still have that.
Of course I do.
Dude, I need that. Like that's put that out there. Let the people see.
So if
let the people see how bad my language can be sometimes.
We're not sure what we're talking about. So Robert has always been our go-to guy for just talking to the camera about things. And so he was doing, I can't remember what it was for,
It was for like a beginner's series.
Right. And so he kept messing up his line. And for some reason, his word of choice was crap every time he messed up. And I put together a video that has him saying at least 30 times, I think it is. So
it was a lot.
We'll have to put that on an endless loop. I may just make a YouTube channel just for that 24 hours. Just call it Robert's crap.
Let it ride.
Right. Watch us get more subscribers than any other YouTube
that would be worth it. It'd be like a Mr. Beast type thing, He does stuff for 24 hours. That could be us.
So anyway. All right. Well, let's get to the questions. Do you still remember how to answer questions, even when you haven't signed out yet, right?
No. I still remember how to answer some questions.
Some questions, okay.
I'll let you know which ones shortly.
Okay, cool. All right. Maybe I should have been a little more prepared in bringing up the questions on my screen.
It's all right. We were getting emotional. Okay. You can't tell, but inside I'm very sad.
I'm dying inside.
Just want to let you know.
All right. So as I'm bringing this up, guys, always go to discgolfanswerman.com. Look for that submit your disc golf question tab, send it in, and we will try to get it on the air. I will tell you right now, I'm looking at 85 questions, so we'll try to get through as much as we can. But we do appreciate you guys sending them in.
I won't be able to answer them for a while. So we kind of have to do a lot here.
I know. Yeah.
You ready to rapid fire? I'm ready.
Let's do it. All right. The name of this person is Scorching Hot Papa Course Flurry. I'm assuming that's a playoff. Cool that he's licked.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is about technology. I keep hearing disc golf podcasts and coverage talking about disc technology and how it is part of the reason that our courses are becoming out of date. When disc technology is referenced, what exactly are they talking about? Back in the day, they did not make 12-speed discs or as stable of disc. What is really better now? Plastic? Baskets?
Yes.
He ended that with a comma, and yet there's no more to say. So there you go.
Plastic? Baskets? No, the answer to your question is yes. The plastic is much more durable across the board, except if you were to compare it to like something like, CE plastic, which was very, very, very durable. Even today's plastics are probably just as, if not more durable than that now. But when you're talking about disc technology over time, for the longest time, it was just a base type, what we would think of as base plastics, and molds that were not that overstable. Like I remember long before anything with like a really fast edge was used, the Viper from Innova was like the best newest thing. And if you've thrown a Viper, they're very, very overstable, and they were only in base plastic. So you had to take one and get used to throwing that into the wind and then work it in. And so, yeah, there weren't 12-speed there weren't drivers for a little while. And over time, we've gotten to where we're at the legal limit of how wide a rim can be on a disc golf disc. And companies are just improving that all the time and releasing discs that can be thrown at high speeds and not be so punishing. So that's what disc technology is talking about. We've made some really big advances in that. And then the same goes with baskets. Think if you've ever played on Mach 3s, they're kind of notorious for spitting out or having it hit the pole and bounce straight back. And that's not the first version of the Mach basket. So baskets have improved over time. Discs have improved over time. Yeah. Everything is a little bit friendlier to the player now for sure.
Excellent. Next one is from Adam. He says, "Hey, DGAM fam, I just want to give a shout out to the Dynamic Discs' newest mid-range, the Bounty. I played Blue Ribbon Pines a couple weeks ago, and this just carved through the trees perfectly. Not to mention on the epic tunnel hole, I was able to keep the disc on a straight line to set me up for my first par. I am a seasoned rec player working on my way to maybe start competing, and this disc is giving me the confidence to do so. Thank you, Dynamic Disc, for everything you do to grow the sport." Oh, nice. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that.
Sweet. Yeah, that's an awesome hole.
Oh, yeah.
That he's talking about. I don't remember if it's hole 4 anymore, but it used to be hole 4, 444 feet. And it's a, I don't know how wide, 10 feet wide, 12 feet wide, just absolute tunnel of trees on either side. It's an incredible hole to look at. And Bounty's a great disc for that hole for sure.
Yeah. All right. Next one comes from Lincoln. Sup, Bobby and the crew. I added
You're the leader.
I added the dialect there. I was thinking about some of the staple discs for each manufacturer. In my opinion, Discraft has the Buzz and the Zone. Innova has the Rock and the Destroyer. Westside with the Harp, and so on. I wasn't sure on what DD staple disc would be and wondered what y'all would say it is. We actually have one called the Staple. No, I'm playing.
It's new.
It's new.
That and the Ration.
The Ration, yeah.
They go right alongside one another. Okay, I'll say a couple discs I think we have that kind of stand alone in their category. One of those is the EMAC Truth because it's so fast for a mid-range. There are others that are similar, but I don't think they're as widely used in other companies. Like the Buzz, I think, is a little bit slower than the EMAC Truth. Same goes for the Rock, and they feel different. The EMAC Truth is just a little bit faster. For me, I can throw it farther than I was able to throw those two. That's not to say they're bad discs, but I think the EMAC kind of lives in its own category in that space. And then another one that is, I guess it's a combination of two, but one more than the other, and that's the Escape and the Getaway. So the Getaway, I think it lives in a world where, you know, it's comparable to like the Thunderbird, or if you've thrown from Mint Discs, if you've thrown their first fairway driver. Oh shoot, I can't think what it is right now. I like those guys. They're my buddies too. Apex. Darn it. It's going to bother me. It's a power fairway. It's a 9-speed. It's very similar to the Getaway. I think those discs kind of live in the same realm. I think the Getaway might have just a hair more glide than those, but the one that's similar to it that I think is kind of in a league of its own is the Escape. I think the Escape, when it came out for us, was like the most special of our discs because it's a 9-speed, but it goes like it's a 10 or 11. It's just so fast, easy to control. Get one with a little bit of dome, and you'll be really surprised at how straight you can throw it too. So
I've heard. I would say it's a fairway driver that thinks it's a distance driver. Yeah, and that's a really great way to describe it. I know I said it.
Alpha. It's called the Alpha. That's what it is. It was tip of my tongue. But yeah, I'd say the Escape and the EMAC Truth are two that kind of live in their own world. The Judge is a great putter, but there are a lot of great beaded putters. Same with the Warden, but there are a lot of great beadless putters. But those two, I think, are pretty awesome. You might say the Justice too. It's very, very overstable. And other companies have very overstable discs, but Justice has always just seemed meaner to me.
And the Justice is like one of those discs that you may not use a lot, but when you need it, it comes through for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like I'll go plenty of, I throw the Anvil right now. They're pretty comparable, but even when I had a Justice in the bag, I mean, I'd go a few rounds without throwing it. But once it got windy, I'd throw it all the time.
Yeah. All right. Tournament woes. This is a subject from Chris. For some reason, the week before tournament, I complete get out of whack, whether it's timing, nose up, poor footwork, which leads to some poor practice rounds. I'm sure it's all mental. Any tips on how to eliminate this trend, or at least some advice on how to minimize it? I feel as if my practice rounds can improve. I can shave some strokes off of my score. Thank you for everything, and always keep it rizzle for shizzle.
Okay, so leading up to the week of a tournament, you start to get out of whack. That's what you're saying? Is that?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm
a week before. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're probably thinking a little too much about your form leading up to the week before a tournament, or thinking about the competition the week leading up. The best thing that you can do when you're getting ready for a tournament is to take the game that you have and trust that.
Yeah.
So if I'm working on like form change or different footwork or something like that, I want to make sure that I'm going to work on that at least a couple weeks before a tournament, because by the time I get to that tournament, I just want to trust what I've got. I want to turn off my brain and say, this is how I'm throwing. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think, hey, put your feet here, pull your elbow through earlier, whatever it is. I don't want to be thinking about that. I just want to be thinking about executing the shot and going on to the next. And so what I would do if I were you is when it gets to that week, stop trying to make changes. Don't go do a ton of field work to like tweak your angles or work on, just go play, go enjoy yourself. And I think that'll help you out quite a bit. You don't want to be worrying about what's going to happen or thinking through the steps of what's going to happen. Just go play and trust your game.
Yeah, what is that quote where it's something about, dadgummit, I'm going to butcher it, but it's awards are given, like something about the awards are given during the competition. God, see, I'm butchering it. I should not even say what it is. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think, are you saying like they're given at competition, but they're earned in practice or like something along
like
those
that.
lines?
Yes. Okay. I saw it the other day on Facebook, and I just made me think of that. What was you were saying is that quote is that, the work is done during practice, not during the tournament. When it comes, that, and a lot of times people get nervous because they're thinking too much. Well, you need to have practiced it so much that come tournament time, you're just going into cruise control mode for everything that you've practiced.
Yeah. You want to just react to the shot. Right. It's like, that's why people who are great at mental game and golf and disc golf and things like that, try to focus on reacting instead of acting, right? So you want to have it be as if you're playing basketball, the ball's coming at you, you have to catch and shoot. If you can respond to what you think should happen, it's better than having to think through every little bit. It's just reacting with what you already know.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's go to the next question. This one is from Ian. What's up, Disc Golf family? Oh no, the Gamily family. I'm a big fan of your guys' products and love the show. I've got a question regarding your new and old mid-ranges. I love the Warrant, and I was sad when it was discontinued. That's my go-to touch/hyzer flip mid. I recently had the opportunity to throw the Bounty at Cowboy Stadium and enjoyed it. He's talking about the disc golf experience at AT&T Stadium. That was fun. However, I'm wondering, aside from the bead, what makes the Bounty different than the Evidence, which was also discontinued? I understand that the Bounty has a little more stability than the Warrant, but seems pretty similar in flight to the Evidence. Was this just a new way of rebranding the understable mids in your lineup, or is this a new disc altogether? I appreciate all that you guys do for disc golf, and I'm excited for your growth into 2021 and beyond.
Good question. Okay, in my experience, the Evidence and the Bounty are pretty different. The biggest difference is that the Evidence will occasionally finish out to the left. So start it flat, it'll move a little to the right, but as it loses speed, kind of fade over to the left. For me, the Bounty has just been, if I start it flat, it's just going to start working to the right and continue working to the right. Maybe end up at flat, but never coming back to the left unless I just let it go on a ton of hyzer. That's the big difference between those two for us, or at least for me. But another thing that we wanted in the Bounty is that beaded feel on a more understable disc. We wanted to experiment with that. And so the Bounty was, it was intended to be not quite as understable as a Warrant, but more unstable than a Truth or even like an Evidence or something like that. So I think it fills a good spot. If you were to say, you carry a Verdict, EMAC Truth, Bounty, Warrant, then that kind of covers all of your stabilities. That's 5 stabilities pretty well covered at that point.
Excellent. All right. Well, Anthony is back with a review, and he's got a review for a brand new bag that's actually kind of a new category for us. And that is the Westside Discs Sling Disc Golf Bag. So let's see what Anthony has to say about this new bag.
The Sling Bag from Westside Discs is a brand new bag for anyone looking for a lightweight, minimalist carry. With a capacity of 10 to 12 discs, the Sling Bag will carry anything you need as a newer disc golfer. If you're a more experienced golfer and are wanting something a little bit more lightweight, the Sling Bag is perfect for carrying just the essentials with you in your casual rounds. With an adjustable shoulder strap, this bag will comfortably ride on anyone regardless of height or build. There's even belt loops on the backside to avoid all the picking up and setting down of the bag during your round. The water bottle holder on the side and zippered mesh pockets on the top flap offer storage for things like your car keys, your cell phone, or anything else you would have with you during your rounds. If you're looking for that minimalist design, look no further than the Westside Discs Sling Bag. Pick yours up today from Dynamic Discs or your favorite local retailer.
All right, next question comes from Daniel. This is actually a hot take. I read through it real quick, and I thought I want to get your opinion on this, Robert, see what your thoughts.
Okay, I'm ready.
His hot take is, when playing a tournament, if the thought of laying up is even in your head, it is never a bad idea to choose the safe play regardless of results.
In most scenarios, I think I'd agree with you.
I was going to say, it doesn't sound like straight away you would totally agree.
I was just trying to think of situations where that might not be true. And the one that I could think of is if you are, it depends on what you're trying to get out of disc golf.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say Bobby and I are playing a tournament. Bobby has smoked it all day and he's leading by 1 going into the last hole. Right. And it's obvious he's going to get a par. And I'm up on a hill looking down at the basket like a 40-footer or something like that. If it's a downhill putt, long downhill behind the basket, like think about, like Jones West hole 18. If you miss that putt, there's a good chance you're not making the comeback because it's very downhill. It depends on what you're trying to get out of it. You could lay up and secure a second place, and that's not bad. Like, second place isn't bad. You're going to make more money that way. Or if you're playing, in the amateur fields, you get more discs, more merchandise, all that. But for me, in that situation, even if I think normally I would lay that up, if I've got a shot to win, I came out to win. I came out to compete and play as well as I could. And if I'm in a position where I have a shot to win, I'm running that thing. Let's go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I think that if I'm facing that putt at a different time, first round or early second round or something like that, and I'm not confident about running it, then laying up is definitely the play. If it enters your mind, usually it is a good idea. But like I said, it depends on what you're trying to get out of it. You may not win a whole lot of tournaments at the top level doing that, but you may win some on the amateur level, just being really, really smart and thinking about that. You can also, if it's a flat ground putt, say a 60-footer, you can learn to putt in a way that can give it a chance to go in, but not be so far past it. That'll help you out as well. But otherwise, I'm with you.
I'd be curious if the person that submitted that hot take, how many times he's been in a quote unquote pressure situation. And I don't mean pressure like I may get a 4 and not a 3. I'm talking pressure, kind of what you said. It's like, if there's if there's like a stroke that's deciding whether you get cash or whether you get a certain place or something like that, I wonder if his thought process would be different.
Yeah. Well, like an example for me, one of the earliest tournaments I won was in Temple, Texas. I was playing a guy from Texas named Mike Olse. If you know Mike, then let's be friends. He's a baller, and he's Texas disc golfer for years and years and years. Great course designer as well. We went to a playoff, several hole playoff, and we finished on a hole where I was maybe 25 feet out from the basket, but it's the same situation I described, straight downhill. If you hit the basket and it doesn't go in, almost guaranteed at the bottom of the hill, and that's a 40-footer coming back up and sharp, like steep uphill. But I didn't drive to Temple to lay up. I didn't drive there to not try for the win. And I had just missed a putt for the win on the hole before, like a 25, 30-footer. I'd been putting well all day, and nerves got the best of me. And in that situation, probably the smart thing to do would have been to lay up in case I hit and rolled away and just lost. But instead I was like, dude, I'm just sending it. Like, that's what I came here to do. I came to compete. I came to win.
Yeah.
And made it, and it was awesome.
Nice.
But I mean, it doesn't always work out that way, but it did that time.
All right, next one is from Cody. Hello, Disc Golf Answer fam. I am a forehand dominant player and cannot backhand to save my life. I have a decent forehand. My furthest throw is 382 feet measured by U-disc, and I average about 350 consistently on drives. The only way I get a backhand line is when I Anheuser a disc, give it some height, and it holds the Anheuser and finishes flat. What type of disc would you suggest for this shot about 250 to 350 range? I'm not talking about a turnover shot. Thanks for the help.
Without seeing your form, it's really tough to see, but a lot of people that are forehand dominant, that struggle with the backhand, one of the things that I see they do really, really bad is to round, which means they're kind of leading with their shoulder and just kind of keeping their arm to where it's only rotating with their torso instead of getting into kind of that power pocket where your angles are where they're supposed to be. So if I were you, I would video yourself throwing to start off with, and allow some people to help you out with it. If there's a local pro in your area, probably a pretty good chance they'll be able to help you out. But what I would do for you is get you something pretty understable. So you don't have to start it on a huge hyzer. You can train getting that angle closer to flat and seeing some flat out of it, even if you don't throw it that fast. So maybe something like a Maverick would be good. I like a Bounty for that, or even a Warrant, just so that you can learn what it's like to throw a disc straight. And then after that, probably an Escape would be about as fast as you'd want to go at this point. Once you can get that up to speed, throw that around 300 or a little bit more, then you can step up to something like a Renegade or a Trespass, or something in that range.
Excellent. Next one comes from Lincoln. He says Bob McCabe.
It pretty much covers it.
Yeah. This question is Pacific to you. Not Atlantic.
Like the ocean.
But Pacific. Since you're the team Warden captain. In Ezra Adderhold's recent video, he says that the Warden and the P2 feel exactly the same and fly exactly the same to him. Just wondering your thoughts on it.
Good question. I have felt a P2. I've never thrown one because I've been sponsored by DD for many moons. I have watched other people throw P2s, and to me, they look slightly more overstable. About the same high speed stability, especially if we're talking like a premium mold, about the same high speed stability, but it feels like the P2, or at least it looks to me like it has a little bit more low speed stability. Otherwise, I think they are pretty similar. The P2 always, at least in my mind, was a little bit taller as well, and had where the Warden's under edge is a little bit more rounded. The P2 kind of goes straight-ish. It's not sharp, but it's been a long time since I've held one of them. But I think they're pretty similar. You could kind of go back and forth between the two. I think the P2 probably finishes a little bit more left, where you can get the Warden to hold straight a little bit longer.
Also, Lincoln says a player sponsored by Trilogy couldn't bag any Discmania Evolution discs, right? You are correct, right, Lincoln. And the reason, just in case if any listeners or watchers don't understand that question, Latitude 64, who manufactures our molds, also has been manufacturing Discmania's Evolution. That just happens to be what they are, the manufacturer. There's no connection other than that. So no, a Trilogy player can't throw that. But then he says, could a player sponsored by Innova throw them? That I don't know. I don't know the logistics on that. I would imagine they can, since it's the Discmania brand, right?
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right too. All right, let's see. Danny what did he have for his disc golf tip of the week? Practicing driving outside. No.
Inside?
Inside, maybe? What did he write down?
That would make more sense.
That would make more sense, because practicing driving outside is just what you
just
do.
Go out to a field.
You just go out to a field and do it. So there's not much to that. So he's probably going to kill me when he listens to this and edits it. Or no, Anthony edits it. So should be good to go.
So let's just roll it back. Hey, here's Danny talking about practicing driving.
Talking about stuff.
When the days get colder and shorter, it can be a struggle to make it to the course or field. But if you still want to practice your drives, it's possible to take that driving practice inside. Throwing into a net is one of the first things that comes to mind for a lot of players as soon as the snow starts piling up outside. But there is definitely a right and a wrong way to practice. The challenge is, there's no feedback for your throw. In normal field work, you can tell if you did something right because the disc will fly farther. But when just throwing into a net, a good shot and a bad shot have identical results. Plus, one of the easiest mistakes to make while practicing is muscling or throwing with too much arm and not staying relaxed and smooth. When throwing into a net, it's easy to think that what feels powerful is correct, and that will lead to muscling more often than not. So it's important to have other feedback besides just how your throw feels. The easiest way to do this is to set up a camera. In a garage, usually there's plenty of convenient shelves to prop your phone up on so you can record your throw and go back through it, picking apart issues and working on them until they're solved. It's important to remember not to work on too much at once and to take time to cement the change into your muscle memory before moving on to something else. Another way to get feedback is to have some sort of radar device to read how fast you're throwing. Although this will obviously only show improvement if you're working on maximum power throws, it can be a good test to try and target a specific speed or make different games for controlling your power. A few other things to look out for while practicing inside is wear on your discs. You can use a net, a tarp, or even just a really thick blanket that you're okay putting holes in. But whatever you use, throwing into anything that stops your disc that quickly will wear them down over time. Not as much as a brick wall or a tree, but it's best to use a disc that isn't exactly your go-to because it might not fly the same afterwards. Also, some soccer nets have holes that are big enough for discs to fly through, so watch out for that. But in general, just make sure there's nothing too valuable behind whatever you're throwing into, just in case. Also, most garage floors are fairly slick compared to the brushed concrete T-pads a lot of us are used to, so be careful of slipping or use some sort of rug to give yourself better grip. And the last warning I have is not to overdo it. When you don't have to take time to walk to your disc, it's easy to get a lot more throws in than normal field work. But it's important to remember that throwing discs is an athletic motion that does take some toll on your body, so make sure to take breaks and don't overdo it. So those are my tips for working on your form inside during winter. Try it and make sure to get out to the field as much as possible when it gets above freezing. Make sure you subscribe to Disc Golf Audio and follow Dynamic Discs for more tips on how to become a better disc golfer.
All right. Well, as I said right before the break, Danny was talking about disc golf, just like I
Some
said,
things.
just like I had planned. So good stuff. I'm glad I covered all the bases there on that one.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's get back to a couple more questions. This one's from JJ. Dynamite. No, not that JJ. Probably half the people don't even know what I'm talking about. Do you even know what I'm talking about?
No, that sounds like something I would be familiar with.
Oh my God.
What is it?
There's a show called Good Times that had JJ, and he'd always go,
yeah.
Dynamite. Wow.
I'm familiar with the show, but only really in name.
Gosh. All right. He wants to know about par criteria. Hey, Disc Golf Answer Man, thanks for what y'all do for the sport. I was listening to the hot take about changes to courses to help lower the scores. Would there be a way to have criteria to determine, that's a lot of t-t-ts, the par of a hole, such as distance, hazards, score average? Example, a 400-foot hole with no hazard is automatically assigned a par 3. Just got me thinking because I play both types of golf, and scratch in ball golf is difficult to obtain, while disc golf, it seems easier. Oh, scratch in ball golf. Did I say that right? Yeah, scratch in ball golf is so difficult to obtain, while disc golf, it seems to be easier. So just in case other people don't know, explain to me again. I know Eric has done it before. What does that mean to be a scratch golfer?
Right. Okay. So PDGA. So scratch golfer means.
Is that like if I itch a lot? Like if I just.
If you get into poison ivy, now you're a
okay.
scratch golfer.
I got it.
Scratch golfer means if you show up to a course with a certain course difficulty rating, you should expect to shoot around even par or better. Which is, it's insane. It's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Now I don't want people to underestimate how difficult that is in disc golf, because it's not easy. But in my opinion, comparatively, it is harder to become a scratch golfer than it is to become a scratch disc golfer.
Gotcha.
That has the definition of that has changed over time, though. It used to be that being 1,000 rated would be considered a scratch disc golfer. But since that number has grown so much, you'd probably want to, you might consider raising that rating threshold just a bit. But I mean, it's not really relevant to what we do because we don't use a handicap system. It's just a player rating, and it's based off of other players. So as I've talked about before, I think we could use an overhaul in that a little bit, but that's for another time. So hold on. What was this question about though? Like, so scratch golfer, scratch disc golfer.
Right. He was saying that.
Par. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Something like you're talking about actually exists, and it's on the PDGA website. It's at pdga.com/documents/ par dash guidelines. You can go there and check out what the PDGA uses as guidelines to determine the par of each hole. And something like you're talking about is exactly right. You know, if a hole is wide open and doesn't have any hazards or anything like that, until you get to the white tees. Well, even on the white tees, that's considered a par 3. Red tees would be something more like a par 4. But it's got ratings guidelines for each of those sets. And so, yeah, something to check out. I think it's worth looking at.
Excellent. All right, let's do one more question. This one is from Matthew. The great soapy debate, cleaning discs after the season. After every season is complete or every few months, I will pull all of my discs out of my bag and give them a bath. For some reason, the song Rubber Ducky comes in my mind. I take the time to clean off all the dirt, and I'm assuming he means grime, not grim. But he gives me such a hard time about this. He compares disc to cast iron pans. Oh, okay. If you clean your disc, you take the seasoning off the disc. The dirt and the grime is part of the beating in process. Does cleaning your discs with hot water and soap affect the disc's flight? Thanks for the help. Be real, be yourself, be unique, be true, be honest, be humble, be happy.
Dang, we should adopt all those.
I know.
I think that's an imperfect comparison to compare discs to cast iron skillets. I understand what he's trying to get at.
I definitely would not cook my next.
And I think that's where it falls apart for me.
In a disc, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to take my Fusion Raider, flip it upside down over a campfire, and cook something in it.
Right.
I'm kidding. That's not the reason. So dirt acts differently on something that is intended to fly in an aerodynamic fashion than it does on something like a cast iron skillet, right? Dirt can, it depends on where it hits on, a tree or on the ground or whatever. But if there's an extra dirt on your disc, it will affect the way that the disc flies. However, if it were up to me, I don't want a bunch of extra like caked mud or dirt or whatever on my discs. I don't care if they're a little bit dirty. That doesn't really bother me because we're talking trace amounts. But if there's a spot that has like a chunk of mud on it, yeah, I'm gonna wipe that off. When it comes to washing your discs, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here. I usually don't do it, but I know some people that do. I would say this though. Everybody, almost everybody, I shouldn't say universally, but most people really like a tacky feel in their putter, right? Mm-hmm. Something that has a little bit more grip, that feels familiar to you. That's what people are looking for. If you use soap on something plastic, specifically a putter, you tend to lose some of that film because a lot of, like the oil and sweat and stuff from your hands has gotten onto your putter. You are accustomed to that feel. If you wash it, it's going to be a lot more slick and maybe lose some of that tackiness that you like. And so if you are going to wash your disc, great, do your thing. But if it were me, I would not wash my putters. Usually if I have mud on my putters, I'll just get it wet and then use a towel to wipe it off instead of soap. And that's honestly what I do with most of my discs.
I will preface my response with, I am not a scientist. Nor do I dabble in the arts of plastic. Okay. I work for a disc golf company, but I'm not involved in the actual manufacturing of the said discs. However, my belief is that putting your discs in hot water, now I'm not talking scorching hot, but hot water every few months or every season or whatever you want to do, probably has no more effect on the plastic than it just simply you throwing it around and it hitting trees and hitting the ground and hitting streets and getting scuffed up. I don't think you could look at someone and say, dude, you're going to mess up the fly of the discs if they go in hot water. The plastic that's going to expand and contract is no more than the effects of being hit and beat in. That's just my opinion.
The water would have to be boiling or a little bit hotter to affect the plastic. And now, like if you pour boiling water, if you pour boiling water on a disc, like on the underside of a disc, it'll affect the flight.
Sure.
no doubt. But if you're just talking about like warm water in your bath and just
Right.
using soap, no,
Exactly.
it's not going to change the flight characteristics.
I'm not-
You
yeah,
just won't
yeah.
have as much mud on there.
Yeah, the temperature. I'm talking about just hot water, nothing outlier where it's like steaming
Right.
hot or something like that. Obviously, that's going to change the makeup of the plastic or the whatever.
Yeah.
So the atoms and the neurons will bounce around and go crazy. Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm not a
neurons.
scientist. Yeah. Neurons, atoms, molecules. Anyway, okay, that's all the time we have for this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. We appreciate you guys tuning in.
I'm glad that you disclaimed that by saying you weren't a scientist.
Right, because I didn't want to confuse anybody as I started talking scientific language.
Right, way over everyone else's head.
Exactly. I had a feeling that you, along with everybody else, would be like, did
What,
you go to
Bobby?
Harvard?
Why are you using such big words?
You know, yeah.
Why are you talking about something in nerve endings and atoms at the same time? I'm just these are the questions.
Are you some sort of scientist?
And no,
No.
here
the
I'm
answer is
here
no.
for a disclaimer for you. I am
Emphatically
not a
no,
scientist.
All right. So,
Emphatically no. That's a good one.
all right. That's it for this. So we appreciate you guys. We'll have a hot take. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube so you'll get the notifications when it comes. It is uploaded. Make sure you tap that notification bell or click it, depending on if you're watching on desktop. That way you're notified every time. Also, if you're an audio listener, make sure you subscribe on iTunes or Apple Music or Spotify, wherever you're listening to this right now as a podcast. Make sure you're subscribed so you know when we upload new episodes. Appreciate you guys.
See ya.